Hi, everybody. It's Mia Sarno from Firewave Wellness, your digital platform for healing, vitality, and holistic health. I have a very, very special guest for you. Her name's Morgan Webert, and she's an EFT tapper, which means that she knows what's going on inside of our internal stressors, what it means to really be accomplished in weight loss and detoxification, and all of the hard work that's really going into you showing up for yourself every day, because you know that dream version of yourself is so much stronger, so much more alive, so much more deeply connected to what it is that you have for your purpose on this planet. And so Morgan's going to talk to us just about how some of the methods that are free, which is amazing and super important, but also just very, very simple techniques that we can do when we're feeling overwhelmed, when we're feeling like the world is out against us, when we're feeling like we don't have the discipline to keep making those decisions that are against the cookies and cake that everyone else is eating, or the judgments that can come up inside of what our bodies are really transforming, even when we plateau in results or we feel alienated from certain situations because we've got this big goal in head and we know where we're going, and just need that little peace of mind to sometimes say you've got this, and to connect back in. So Morgan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so good to be on the show.
Yes.
I'm really excited to talk to you all about tapping today and really get into it.
Yeah, me too. Tell me a little bit about your yoga practice. You're all the way over in Australia, so I love virtual worlds for that sense.
Yeah.
But you got a lot going on down there, so let me know kind of a little bit for our audience.
Yeah. So I live on the northern beaches of Sydney, and I've been practicing as a yoga teacher for over a decade. And I've been practicing as an EFT therapist for about 6 years. And I integrate these two because I think they really are complementary practices. And part of the reason they're such complementary practices is that both of them bring us into our body. And our body is always present. As we know, our mind, it can go to the future, it can go to the past, it can relive past experiences or past mistakes and stress us out, or it can go into the future and imagine realities that might not ever even happen and stress us out. And both tapping, which works through subtle stimulation of the body through tapping on it, and yoga, which works through breath and movement of the body, bring us into the present. And that simple act of coming into the present really reduces our stress response, clarifies our thinking, and allows us to respond to whatever is arising for us rather than react to it. So especially, I think, for the people you're working with, Mia, who you're inviting into change in their wellness, in their lifestyle, and changing their habits. We know that there's a lot of mind chatter of, oh, I made a mistake, I was trying to do this perfect, or future projecting, or actually there are a lot of stresses and challenges to making change. So I think it can be a beautiful thing to integrate.
Yes. And I want to just honor what you've said in that, every person's weight loss, detoxification, their why they got into it is for a variety of reasons. And you have what that is particular to you in your heart. And I think that the more deeply you can connect to that versus the external, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need this, or I have to give up this, and go into really identifying that needs to change for you.
Yeah.
And knowing that you can be supported when you change. Because I think a lot of people are in a pattern of, okay, I'm going to change that about myself. And it's just a very matter of fact, I'm driven, I've felt that way, but I end up breaking that agreement with myself because I haven't deeply rooted into the healing part, kind of in the energy that you do. And so what have you seen kind of yoga really bring up and manifest for people, and what are some of those tipping, when you say, like, what's a good instance of a situation to tap in versus a situation to, like, full blown go to a yoga class?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. Well, I first want to say I really like what you said, coming into the why, because really at the core of why we do anything is that we hope it will make us feel a certain way. You know, the only reason we go for anything in life, whether it is the weight loss for our body or the relationship or the job, whatever, is because we hope that when we get that, we're going to feel a certain way. So understanding that your why is actually a way of feeling is so important, because when you anchor into choosing that feeling state that you desire, and I'm just going to guess that for a lot of us on the wellness journey, the way we want to feel is well, right? We want to feel vibrant. We want to feel good. We want to feel confident about our body, but we also want to feel the energy that the body holds vibrant and steady and full. And so when we start getting really driven about the wellness journey to a point where it takes us out of the feeling state that we're desiring, it's a time to pull back and reconnect to it and realize that when you anchor into the feeling in the here and now, it's much easier to make the choices and the actions that support it in the here and now. And so let's just say, for example, I think, and to come to your question, when's a good time to do yoga? When's a good time to do tapping? So I'd say the time to do tapping is that moment where you're feeling like, oh my gosh, this just stressed me out, and all I want to do is eat a whole tub of ice cream and forget about it. Right? Yeah. Or like, where's that peanut butter and Nutella? But then the deeper part of you desires well-being. The deeper part of you desires wellness. And so if you can, in that moment where the craving to just go escape the stress through eating or whatever it is, if you can call yourself present, you create a bit of space to anchor to your deeper desire, and you go, actually, what's going to make me feel well right now is going for a walk outside, taking some deep breaths, letting go of that thing that happened that stressed me out, rather than that whole tub of ice cream, which actually later I'm going to feel worse about. So then my stress is just going to compound and I'm not actually going to feel well, which is my deeper desire. So two things that I want to add to that is that having a why and having some anchor words around your why can be a really useful tool to bring you back to the present, back to your why, and shift your reactions quite immediately. And we can do a little tapping that reduces the response into like, I just want to eat the tub of ice cream, and then reintegrate your deeper why. And that can happen in just a couple of minutes. Now, on a long-term scale, I think going to yoga classes regularly is really important to cultivate a relationship to listening to yourself. And stepping onto that yoga mat from a place of curiosity is one of the best things that we can do. And the more we are curious about and listen to ourselves, the more we just naturally honor our deeper why, rather than the like stresses of the mind or the pressures of the outside world, what I should be, what I should look like, what I should or shouldn't do, and all of these things. So to answer your question, when is it good to do either? I think having a regular yoga practice helps cultivate that mindset of curiosity and connection, and that tapping is really good to do in the short term, immediate, or to see a therapist to change the origin of the habit. So that's kind of where I work with people one-on-one. We do really deep deconstruction into like, where does this impulse and this habit come from? And we deconstruct it in the subconscious mind.
I love that. Yes. And there's a few things that I wanted to kind of liberate with the audience. And when you hear Morgan talk about it, I noticed that you're saying choices instead of decisions. And there is a lot of that in personal development where there is a certain essence to you innately inside of yourself choosing and you asking authentically to show up, to take on whatever risk that is, to not overthink it, right? Because typically decisions are based off of something, right? But if you openly choose, I'm losing weight, and you continue to make that choice, regardless of whatever it was based on maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, or like you said, an external stimulus, then that choice is an anchor. And I love how you said anchor, because I use that a lot in just all of the different components of my business. There's certain anchors where it calls for me to anchor into peacefulness. And there's certain anchors where it calls me into like, let's say like disciplined creativity, where I have to put, it has to get out there. It has to do that. And so, and what I want to just recognize is along that weight loss journey, you're going to have different anchors. Like in the beginning, it is self-exploratory. Like the imagery you created about like grabbing the ice cream, it's such a good example, because like in your headspace, right? Because I talk about mindfulness at the plate. So I'm trying to get you all to be self-aware moment to moment while food's in front of you. But the build up to having food in front of you also counts, right? Because it shows you where you're out of integrity in certain components, and you're like, wait, but I have this life goal over here, but I'm feeling this way. And often, you're not your feelings, like to a certain extent, that you get the opportunity to actively choose what state you want to perform it in, and what state you want to grow for yourself.
Exactly. So tapping is kind of the common term for this, but the technical term is EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And so often our emotions are reactive within us, which means they arise and then we react to the emotion. And then after the fact go, oh, why did I do that? Right? Yeah. Now that is not freedom, is it? Whereas if we can witness the emotion and make choice, we have emotional freedom. It's not to say that the emotions won't arise, because we're all human. We're going to get stressed. We're going to get sad. We're going to get depressed. We're going to get insecure. This is part of the human experience. But we want freedom in how we respond to it, as opposed to reacting unconsciously. So I love that you pointed that out. Choice is such a huge component to this. Yeah.
So I just, want to invite anybody listening to this that you really do take it in. What are those choices you're making every day? Or are you, having certain components of your life, there's an expectation that maybe you self-created, or a pressure you self-created, and starting to unravel those things, especially inside of weight loss and detoxification. And, as those things come up, I want to hop right into doing some tapping.
Do it.
Because what we talked about was, so I'm in the middle of a fast right now, which is part of weight loss and detoxification. I do those, and fast often when I'm feeling like my toxin load inside of my body, and energetically, truthfully, there's just a lot going on. And there's, our medical disclaimer, everybody knows their body themselves. This isn't a pitch to go fast. This is how I actively choose to detoxify. And I, train in my programs and things like that. But I want to integrate tapping into this, because my energy state is different, because I'm not in the regular routine of my life. So even though my energy state isn't bad, right, or not what it's supposed to be, like there is no good or bad in any of this work, but there is an evolution to it. And so that evolution, where I can become more energized, or I can actually, because I'm in a fight or flight, because I'm not eating, working that pattern neurologically inside of us using EFT is show you. And that even though, I'm not grabbing tanks of ice cream and in that state, that there is still a stress state there, that and it doesn't always it's not explosive all the time.
So let's, if you're okay with it, we can use you as an example, and anybody that's watching along with this, you can answer the questions related to yourself and then tap along with us, and you'll still get so much benefit for whatever is arising for you that you relate to. So let's first just identify for you right now, Mia, if you could encapsulate the stress of being on the fast. The stress is around what?
I think the stress is around feeling a little bit more fatigue and knowing that, like right now, and knowing that there's still things to do, and I'm in that kind of pull and push. Because like, for example, there's like, I have like a mild headache going on, right? Yeah. But it doesn't mean that I can't keep doing my job. There's just a certain level of willpower that I have to, you know, step into and really connect to. For me, it's a frequency thing. It's a prayer thing. It's a, I'm a vessel bigger than me portion of it. But for this example, that is, you know, there is this looming headache, and that stresses me out because I still want to, you know, perform well, but take care of my body.
Yeah. And what we often notice is that the stressors are an expression of resistance. So and what we work with, the very first thing we work with in EFT tapping is acceptance, because that can change our energetic response to something. So I'm going to postulate that a part of your experience is that there's a headache and there's fatigue. And a part of you is resisting that because it's not your normal energy levels that you bring to the table to do your job and to make your offerings. And so the resistance to the low fatigue, the resistance to the headache actually drains our energy even more, right? Yeah. So the headache is there, the low fatigue is there. We don't have to even change that, but we can change the way we relate to it and we relate to the situation, and then we won't be draining ourselves even more unnecessarily. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's just do a little tapping to begin. And so I want you to close your eyes and tune into your body. And I want you to think about this headache, this drained energy right now while I'm fasting, and the resistance to it. And when you feel your body and think about it, where do you notice it in your body?
In my body?
Is there any kind of response? Sometimes we get a tight chest or a tight throat, or just fatigue or headache, you know, whatever you're noticing, just notice.
I think compared to what I would consider normal is I'm not focusing as much. It's harder for me to stay present moment to moment.
Yeah. So this distracted energy. And if you could scale that between a 1 and a 10, 10 being really strong, just give it a number right now.
Probably 7.
Perfect. So I'll invite you to keep your eyes closed, but if you get confused about the points, just open your eyes because I'm going to be doing them along with you. Yeah, no problem. It's just the closing of the eyes helps us stay really present with ourselves, but I'm going to be doing the points. So, and any of you guys watching, do the points along with us. You will notice a difference in yourself as well. So just begin tapping the side of your hand. Good. And just saying after me, even though I feel this scattered energy, headache and tiredness from my detox, I'm choosing to deeply support myself anyway. With acceptance and love and forgiveness. Even though I have a headache and I'm tired,
Even though I have a headache and I'm tired,
I can accept myself completely.
I can accept myself deeply.
I can accept that this is what's happening
I can accept that this is what's happening
and know that I'm okay.
and know that I'm okay.
I choose to support myself deeply,
I choose to support myself deeply,
even though I feel resistance.
even though I feel resistance.
And I'm supporting myself with love
And I'm supporting myself with love
and acceptance
and acceptance
and forgiveness.
and forgiveness.
Good. Tap the very top of your head. This headache, and just repeat after me, this headache.
This headache.
And then in between the eyebrows, this fatigue.
This fatigue.
Tapping the side of the eye near the temple. I have so much work to do.
I have so much work to do.
Tapping below the eye. But I don't have as much energy as I normally do.
But I don't have as much energy as I normally do.
Below the nose. This is feeling challenging.
This is feeling challenging.
Tapping your chin now. Even though this is challenging,
Even though this is challenging,
I'm choosing acceptance.
I'm choosing acceptance.
Both hands now tapping the collarbone point, so just below the collarbones. Good. I can deeply love and accept myself,
I can deeply love and accept myself,
even though I feel tired,
even though I feel tired,
even though I have a headache.
even though I have a headache.
I'm choosing to release all resistance.
I'm choosing to release all resistance.
I'm choosing to allow myself to be
I'm choosing to allow myself to be
exactly as I am right now,
exactly as I am right now,
and deeply love who I am right now.
and deeply love who I am right now.
I know that I am endlessly evolving,
I know that I am endlessly evolving,
and this is part of the journey.
and this is part of the journey.
Tapping the side of the hand. Even though I have a headache
Even though I have a headache
and feel tired
and feel tired
and have resistance,
and have resistance,
I am none of those things.
I am none of those things.
I am my essence.
I am my essence.
I am my spirit.
I am my spirit.
And all of those things
And all of those things
are just experiences
are just experiences
on the journey of life.
on the journey of life.
Tapping the top of the head. I am not this headache.
I am not this headache.
I'm just experiencing it
I'm just experiencing it
in between the eyebrows. I am not this fatigue.
I am not this fatigue.
I'm just experiencing it.
I'm just experiencing it.
Tapping the side of the eye. I'm not this resistance.
I'm not this resistance.
It's just a part of my experience.
It's just a part of my experience.
Below the eye. All of these experiences change.
All of these experiences change.
Below the nose. I learn so much from all of my experiences.
I learned so much from all of my experiences.
Tapping the chin. I'm allowing myself to be in my experience
I'm allowing myself to be in my experience
without judgment
without judgment
or resistance.
or resistance.
collarbone points, or I like to call this the heart points of both hands just below the collarbone points. I completely accept.
I completely accept.
Where I am right now.
Where I am right now.
Understanding it's ever changing.
Understanding ever changing.
And it doesn't define me.
And it doesn't define me.
And I'm grateful for all I learn.
And I'm grateful for all I've learned.
Through all of my experiences.
Through all of my experiences.
It's safe to allow myself to be.
It's safe to allow myself to be.
However I am right now.
However I am right now.
Resting both hands over the heart center. Taking 3 deep breaths into this space and long exhales. Good. Just keeping with the eyes closed, scanning the body again, observing any of the stress triggers, stress responses. And when we started, you kind of gave it a 7. What number would you give it now?
Truthfully, truthfully, my headache is like at a 2.
Amazing.
Like I was having like pressure right here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
Yeah.
if I wore a tight ponytail all day.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It's literally not there.
Amazing. So this is the magic. The body is an expression of a deeper truth. And when we tap into it, literally, we can shift it quite quickly. And really, yoga at its core is about that. And the ancient rishis thousands of years ago understood that and created a system of many techniques to help us do that. And tapping is just another amazing technique to help us do that. It actually originally came out of acupuncture and stimulating acupressure points, but now there's so much neuroscience behind it. And this understanding that the hands and the face stimulate the most amount of our motor cortex, which means that through the stimulation of hands and face, you force yourself out of the stress response. Lots of details behind that we might not have time to go into today, but I'm so glad to hear. Yeah.
Such a great start, Morgan. And I just appreciate, anybody watching and being open to understanding that you've got power inside of you. There's this whole untapped area, and you might start with tapping.
Exactly.
It's going to be awesome. And, it's helped me heal when I was like physically injured. I spent like 6 weeks on crutches in Southeast Asia. I don't recommend it. But there was that need, that desire to really know like you're okay. Yeah. And to have a tool like this to know you're okay.
Yes.
Whether you're on a weight loss journey or a detox journey, or you're just living every single day of life in our busy and chaotic modern world. Yeah. This is a tool that you now have in your pocket. And, you can tell us about what this means to you. Morgan does this, so you guys can have exactly a conversation like this with her at morganwebert.com, right?
Yep, that's right, morganwebert.com.
Yeah, and then not only that, but she's got some really great events and retreats, and so you're really able to kind of see, where your self-discipline in your yoga practice, whether you're a yogi yet or not. I'm 10 years almost, actually, that's exciting, into my yoga practice. And I still keep learning new things, and we still keep evolving. And every time I get on my mat, it is different, and so I'm here to support you in your, weight loss and detoxification journey, that deeply connecting and understanding the subconscious about what's going on in your body, not only as you, adjust what the conscious efforts are about what you're putting in your mouth. You get to have both ends of it. And so we're here to support you. And Morgan, thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. It was really an honor to be on your program and chat with you, and look forward to working with you and your group more. Thank you.